We are getting older by the day. We can feel it, others can see it, and we need to find a way to deal with it.
You know, when we watched our parents age, we never imagined we would go through the same thing. But I've noticed, and I think Mark has noticed, as he ages, he faces some harsh truths about his physical and mental health, about loneliness, and about his ability to adapt. But the critical thing is how we deal with these realities together, because that will define how we live the rest of our lives together. And it's not that I'm not aging.
No, you're not. But I think you're going
No,
backwards.
I am.
You are. No, you're not
am.
aging. You're going
But today we're
backwards.
going to talk about your aging journey.
Yeah, and I think men probably have a more difficult time than women about aging. And today I'm going to open up and share with you what I believe all men need to come to grips with, and also find a way to work through these issues with our wives or partners, our children, and our friends.
You know, we hear from a lot of men, and honestly, the majority of our subscribers are men. Isn't that right?
That's true.
And we hear from them, yeah, but I made it this far without any problems, so I'm not going to worry now. I'm just going to keep aging the way I age.
Yeah, and that's okay, I guess. But there are things you can do to either slow down the process or change the process so that you don't just let it happen by itself.
Or make
And
it easier on the people around you.
you want to make it easier on the people around you. You've had no problems yet, but one day you will. And I think back on my dad and other men who I know who have aged. You will change. And this is really video for you to think about this. Some other things we hear from men is, yeah, but I've earned the right to relax. Well, why do I need to be active when I'm retired? Back to my dad, he said that all the time. He stopped exercising because he felt it was a badge of honor that he worked for 40 years in his career. Now he could take it easy.
Right.
And that didn't bode well for him at all.
No, and honestly, one of the main principles that we believe in retirement is your number one job is to take care of you and your health and wellness and attitude and mental health and wellness so that you can be there for your generational family, your grandkids, your friends, and people that need you.
And to set an example.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you know, my dad's example was one thing. And I think of our neighbor next door.
Sam Golding?
Sam Golding.
Yeah.
So he and his wife were neighbors of ours for the first 7 years we lived here in Connecticut. And they passed away a couple years ago. She died at 91 and he died at 93. And they were the most amazing couple who never, ever talked about aging, never talked about death, never talked about... He never became a grumpy old man.
No, he was always so happy.
So happy to see
And
us.
active.
He would come down the driveway, he'd see me outside, he'd come down and we would just chat. 92 years old, and he was still active. We actually went and visited to their home in
Palm Desert.
Yeah. And they were funny. They both said, you know, we go to bed very late and we get up very late.
Right.
You guys can do your own thing for breakfast and we'll come out of our room around 11. So they had boundaries,
Right.
they had habits, they had routines, but they were always so positive, right?
They were very happy.
And that's the type of life that I want to model myself by, and for us.
Absolutely.
They had a really great relationship where they talked about a lot of things together. So I'm going to go through my list. There's 25 things that I am thinking about as I'm aging. And I want you to stay to the end because then Jody and I are going to share the 5 strategies that I use and we use to make sure that we're dealing with my aging. And well, I guess you said you're aging too?
I am. Of course I am.
All right.
And don't forget, there's a free download below, which is the health and wellness checklist.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget to
download that.
All right. The first thing is my hearing's getting worse.
Is it selective hearing or is it your hearing's getting worse?
Well, according to the doctor, I just got tested. My hearing is fine, but I can't hear anything. My biggest struggle is in restaurants. I have a very difficult time being in a restaurant with 2 or 3 other couples. I think when you and I are alone, it's okay. But I just can't hear what the other people are saying. So it's a struggle for me. So I either just nod like this, or I say, "I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Could you please repeat that?"
So
that's not good for them.
Yeah. So it's not really your hearing, it's the background noise is starting to invade how you hear people.
Right. Yeah.
Because you can actually hear,
What?
according to the doctor. I don't know if he ever hears me, but you can actually hear. But the background noise is starting to impede your hearing a little bit. And, it's interesting. We were never that couple in restaurants that were selective about tables.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, they'd say, here's your table. We'd say, great. But now we kind of look, is it by the kitchen? Is it by a speaker? Is there, an acoustic guitarist or a band or, whatever it is? We kind of move away from that to help you with this hearing challenge.
And it's a problem for the other people. It's not a problem for me. I could deal with it. But when we walk into a restaurant, I look at the ceiling, I look at the floor. If the floor is tile and the ceiling doesn't have any of those soundboards, I know I'm going to have a problem.
Right.
If we're up where there's a speaker, I know I'm going to have a problem. So, and you're really good about this. You'll look around for me as well. And, I feel like I'm aging because of that. And I am. But I have to tell people, now what I do is when we go out to dinner, I tell people, my hearing isn't as good as it used to be. Can you please talk louder when you talk?
You declare.
I declare. And it's embarrassing to do that, but I'm getting better at it and more comfortable because I want to have a good time and I want to go out to dinner. So my hearing is getting worse. There's a lot of research out there. There's a lot of kind of hearing aids that you can put in that I think your mom had hearing aids.
Did.
Other people that have it on their phone and then it blows up and you can't hear a thing and then you hear too much. But our hearing will get worse as we age. I think most people, I don't have a statistic, but
Right.
That's one thing. Another thing is my balance isn't what it used to be. So I just need to be careful. And you had an accident a month ago where you rushed down the stairs and you slipped and fell, and it was really bad for you.
It was brutal.
So
Yeah.
and up until then, I was always a little more careful going up and down
I was
stairs.
never careful. But
Now I'm super careful because my balance isn't what it used to be.
Right.
So I'm just being aware as I walk around. I don't want to trip. I go slow up steps. I look ahead of me a little bit because falling is bad.
It is bad. But that's all in the moment solutions or things that you do. But you also do longevity things for balance. And we're big promoters of longevity, activities for balance or for stretching or for muscle. And, working on your core 5 days a week helps with balance.
It does.
Certainly stretching, muscle tone, all of that, along with being careful, can help with balance. So it's not really just, grabbing the walker as soon as you can. It's, making sure that you're working on your muscle tone, your balance, your posture, and not doing those silly things like I did, racing a puppy up and down the steps after 30 hours of travel was not my best idea.
I guess the thing is, this is new for me. Like, I never thought about it. I was always an avid snow skier, water skier, cyclist. Now I'm a little more careful. Like, I don't want to put myself in a position where I fall. So maybe I don't ski anymore and I don't cycle as much because I don't want to fall. But I do other things, like you said, to keep myself fit.
Right.
I remember as my parents aged, they said as soon as they go from walking on their own to a cane and then a walker, at least they're moving. Once they go in a wheelchair, then it's over. Then they're just their body is just going to speed up the process. So I don't want that for me, and I don't want that for you. The third thing, driving.
I love that you're declaring this one because, woo!
So my driving is getting worse.
Nearly terrible.
No. Or it's harder. For instance, cars today have like 15 cameras on them. So I have an overhead camera. I'm a visual person, so that works okay. But backing up, I was old school. Hand like this, look, and you just see it. It's just my reaction is slower. My peripheral is a little bit different. And when I'm driving on the highway, if it's a 3-lane, I'm in the middle and I'm going the speed limit. Drives you crazy.
Crazy.
But that's what I do to prevent an accident. What's so funny?
Well, it's almost as if because you are a visual person and you have a bit of ADD.
Thank you.
All of the cameras,
self-diagnosed,
and all of the noises, and all of the flashing mirrors when you're got another car next to you, and all that type of lights and things. I wonder if that's just almost too distracting for you because you get fixated on watching the car from above back out not realizing you're actually driving that car. You're like, look at the car, and I'm like, we're in the car. Like,
Well,
so it's something to be mindful of. Certainly not advocating that, you know, people give up their license and all of that until they're ready, until the doctor and or family members or there's a big concern. But driving is it's a big thing. It's something we do every day. Most of us don't even think about it. But as you age, you almost have to start thinking about like driving. Oftentimes we'll get to the top of our lane and you'll look at me and go left or right. And I'm
That's
thinking,
not true because it's a one-way.
well, okay.
But
So maybe not the
over
lane,
exaggeration.
but
Many times I get
to
to
a
the
stop
first stop
sign.
sign and I
Right.
go, all right, where are we going now?
Right.
So there's my memory. And because I don't know, I just don't focus as much on maybe what I need to focus on because I'm self-diagnosed ADD, ADHD, and I'm looking at the rabbit running across the street
Could
or
be.
the dog.
Could be.
Well, my driving is getting worse. I have to be aware of that, and I have to be able to let you drive
Right,
more.
which I don't mind.
You're a great driver because I get to go to sleep and take my nap. But it's
The only
something.
thing is, I don't know, when you guys give up the reins to drive to your partner or spouse or whoever else is in the car and you want to take your nap, do you make them like shut off like all the music and go in complete silence?
Well, when I'm driving, the music is low. You get
Because
in the
I'm
driver's
chatting
seat.
to you.
You get in the driver's seat, and I want to take a 15-minute nap, and the volume goes up. That's not helpful. Then
Well,
I can't
have
rest.
to stay awake too.
Oh my
I'm getting
gosh.
older too, people.
All right. So anyway, driving. You know, I feel like I am losing my patience quicker. More quickly? More often? I have to fight it. I have to fight the urge to get impatient. And I do that through meditation, physical exercise, things like that, being aware, counting to 10. How many times do I count to 10 during the day when you say something?
Quite a few.
Quite a few. So, you know, it's a bad
But you don't just count in your mind. Like most people
I go
take
one,
a deep breath. Mark will look at me and go,
two.
and then I know it's like I'm on the edge of the patience.
Yeah. So it's, I didn't used to be like that. So that's something new. So again, this is number 4. This is the 4th thing that I'm noticing about aging that I need to be aware of.
Right.
Not, you know, as long as I'm aware of it and I fight it, and then I apologize quickly if I happen to lose my patience. Or I give you a 5-minute warning.
Right. Or
If you keep this up for 5 more minutes, I'm going to get impatient.
my money's
There's
on
my-
me in a dark alley.
All right. My sleep is getting more and more important as I age.
Right.
So I need to go to bed earlier. I get up every day naturally between 4 and 4:30. Don't know why. It's been like that for years. So I could go to bed at midnight and get up at 4 and I'd be fine. I can't anymore. So
Right.
I used to go to bed at 11 on average, and it was 10:30 and 10. I now really need to start getting ready for bed at 8:30. Shower, PJs, into bed, so that at 9 o'clock lights go off and I go out.
Yeah.
And that's new. And because I'm aging, I want to make sure I get the right amount of sleep. And that's been an adjustment for you over the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, it definitely has been a challenge for me as a spouse. So it might be a challenge for your spouse or partner as well. But I have this old school mindset, like when you're ready to go to bed, I go to bed, you know, and I don't stay downstairs and watch TV, but I will read for a couple of hours because I'm not actually ready to go to bed.
Right.
But it gives me a couple of hours next to you where, you know, at least I feel like we're together, we're sharing the bed together, and I read for a couple of hours and then I go to sleep.
And I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate that you come upstairs with me at the same time.
Yeah.
I also appreciate those times when you might be traveling or I might be traveling and I get to go to bed whenever I want and I don't have to answer to anybody and just do my own thing.
Wow.
How about that?
Huh.
I love my alone time. We've done videos on that.
You might get more of it.
You think so? So this also comes into play when we have the kids over or
Yeah.
we're going out to dinner with couples. I just, you know, if I'm going to go to bed at 11 o'clock tonight, I know tomorrow's going to be a little bit of a
Yeah.
different day for me, but I'm okay with that. Number 6, it's harder for me to stay focused at times. And that's this, you have anything funny to say?
No.
Okay. It's harder for me to stay focused at times. I don't know what that comes from. I don't know if that's an aging thing. Probably, you know, when I was in my career, I was focused all the time. And now sometimes I just want to not focus. And I think that comes out in my driving. That's why I want to get in the middle lane and I want to just follow the taillights of the car in front of me. And I don't even, Jody's sitting next to me, says, your exit's in 1 mile. I go, okay. Your exit's in half a mile. Okay. Now your exit's in 200 feet. I go, okay, I got it. So we actually have this great
you make me sound so annoying.
Well, no, because if I miss, and my feeling is if I miss the exit, it doesn't matter.
Well, it does if you're driving to Manhattan. I mean, let's be honest.
You turn around and
you
go the
miss
other
an
way.
exit. No, it matters. But.
So I when I drive, that's why I think my driving is getting worse because I'm not really focusing on it. But
Could be.
Driving with you is great because you keep me.
Because I'm your brain.
You're my brain. When I drive alone, somehow I get to where I need to go on time. I don't know how, but I do. All right. Another thing that I've noticed about myself as I'm aging is my golf ball doesn't go as far as it used to.
This is a big ego hit.
Well,
wow.
I've been playing golf for a very long time. And, any of you who are golfers out there, any men or women, I used to be a 6 handicap. Now I'm a 13. And my 3 sons and I play a lot of golf together. And we're going away actually in a couple of weeks to this amazing place called Stream Song in Orlando. And I remember last year when we went to Stream Song with the boys, I really wasn't getting off the tee well. And I remember the caddy said, I heard him talking to one of my sons going down the hill, you might want to have your dad move up to the red tees.
The red tees?
Yeah.
No, the white tees.
We were on the white tees because
the boys should play the blues.
It was a long, long golf course. So we're on the whites, and he wants me to go to the reds. And I said to the guy, listen, this is my trip. I'm paying your fee. I am not going to the red tees. It was kind of stupid.
Ego.
Yeah. But it doesn't go as far.
Yeah.
I'm not as limber. I'm not as strong. It doesn't go as far. And I have to be okay with that.
Right.
I remember playing with old guys years ago who would shoot 82 all the time. Ball wouldn't go far, but it never got in trouble.
Right.
I have to get better at not trying to push the distance, but focus on the accuracy.
Right.
But it's a change. And
Definitely
call
a
it
change
ego.
for
My
you.
handicap went up, so I'm not as good as I used to be. So I'm just trying to lean into that. Number 8, I'm definitely losing, well, I don't know if I'm losing muscle mass.
You're getting smaller.
What?
You're getting smaller.
Wow.
Like as a human, right?
Oh.
Because everyone gets smaller, right? You have spine compression, all the things. I mean, you've seen people over
Shrink?
time get shorter.
Well, Sam got shorter as we got to
Yeah.
know. You start losing muscle mass, I think, at the age of 30. So you're building up to 30, and then automatically it starts to go down. So what you need to do is to work out really hard on a regular basis to build muscle, or at least keep from losing it. And you and I go to the gym on a regular basis now with one of the main purposes is to build muscle mass.
Well, I think in combination with that, and this is something that I'm harping on you a lot on, is you have to make sure you're also eating protein. Whether you, as subscribers, whether you're an animal protein person or a plant protein based person, it kind of really doesn't matter. But find your protein and make sure as you age, you're getting enough protein to help you with muscle mass.
Yeah.
And I know we struggle with that sometimes. You get up in the morning and we're kind of on fire after the gym and shower and, get over to Retirement Transformed and, work on scripts and research and videos. Then it's lunchtime and we kind of scramble, and it might be a salad and maybe there's some beans in it, or something. And then dinner, we're like, oh, I'll walk the dog, you walk the dog. Did we go grocery shopping? And before you know it, we're kind of throwing together a dinner without a lot of thought on our muscle mass and the help that protein can be as we age.
Well,
so I'm not saying to eat an only protein diet, but in this muscle mass conversation, there has to be a focus on what you're fueling your body with.
And I'm not always good at it.
No.
You're better at it than I am. Yesterday and today, went to the gym, had a really hard workout, and I came back and I had a protein shake. And I don't do that regularly, but I did it yesterday and I did it today. And it definitely makes a difference to how I feel because I'm sore from working out, so the protein will help.
Yeah.
Another issue I'm noticing as I'm getting older is my energy for new projects is low, almost non-existent. We've bought and renovated and sold probably a half dozen houses since we got together. I don't want to do that anymore. I kind of am done with it. We're going through this huge change now. We've sold our home in Connecticut. We're moving to Florida. We haven't really talked about that much, but we're going to do some more videos on that. That's a huge change. And I have decades old, all of my tools. I mean, I've put in kitchens, I've put in bathrooms, I've put in skylights, sliding glass doors, painted, wallpapered, all of that. I can do all of that. I don't want to do it anymore. My energy just isn't there.
Right.
So as we go to look for a new home or a new place to live, it has to be kind of ready to move in.
Ready to go. Yeah. No, I would agree. And I'm only handy with instruction. So if you have no bandwidth for the project and no bandwidth for instruction, then I'm not very much help.
Yeah, and the flip side of that is, because my energy for projects is low, even changing a light bulb, that
Oh, come on. You
changed the last three.
I don't have. I mean, that's not really a project.
Well, for me it is. Here's a big one that I believe all men really, really need to work hard on, and that's fighting becoming a grumpy old man. There was this great book I read. I'm going to try to find it and put it in the notes below. But it talks about living happy and active well into your 90s. And there was a couple pages in there where it talked about every morning when you get up, you and I, when we get up, we have to do everything we can, put every ounce of energy into making sure we don't become a grumpy old man. And that's being impatient, being short, being curt with people, not exercising, just becoming grumpy and dissatisfied with everything around you, not being grateful. It happens. And I'm fighting that tooth and nail every single day. I think I'm doing a good job.
Mm-hmm, I do too, yeah.
I'm not a grumpy old man yet.
A lot of it has to do with the story that, and I know you're saying grumpy old men and this is about you, but it's, you could make that just grumpy old people, you know what I mean? But I think a lot of it has to do with the story you're telling yourself in your head in the morning when your eyes open up, about the day, about what's on your plate, about who you're going to see or who you're not going to see, and I had this conversation with my pop recently, who just had open heart surgery and a double bypass, and, he's cut from here to here, and, his world, is typically this big, and for a month it's been about this big.
Yeah.
Because he's not able to do and play golf and see all his friends and stuff. So he was really fighting that because, your world changes as you get older and you have to fight to keep it large.
I know.
So a lot of it has to do with what you tell yourself, I think.
Another thing that I struggle with, and this comes into play, I talked a little bit earlier about sleep, but I don't like going out at night.
I struggle with this one.
Yeah, I don't like going out to big dinners. I don't like going to the movies. I don't like going out to nightclubs. I don't like going out to concerts. And I used to do all of that, and I used to love it. I mean, I was the party guy. 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, let's go. And now I don't have
I don't remember that guy.
Well, it was maybe before we were married.
I was going to say, who's that guy?
Yeah, you met me when I was on the downslope. I
20 years ago, you were
listen,
on the downslope?
I don't have the desire to go out at night, and you do. I wouldn't say you do, but you will.
Oh, yeah.
Before I will.
Well,
so
it just, what I think is important is that I know what your boundaries are on that, so I don't push it Monday through Friday. Mm-hmm. But for example, we're going to Austin, Texas in a couple of weeks to see our daughter Madeline and her boyfriend Benjamin. We're bringing another company.
4 nights.
And we're bringing another couple with us for company, and we're going to the Austin Food and Wine Festival. We've got a piano bar on the ticket. We've rented a boat for the day, and then we're going to go to this great little dive Mexican place called the Hula Hut. So we have this whole agenda, and then I threw in the 11th hour, one of my favorite singers of all time is going to be in Austin at the Moody Center, and I was like, let's go to the Pink concert. And you flat out were the first one. We're like, absolutely not happening on a Sunday night before we have to leave on Monday.
Yeah.
But it's something I really wanted to do, and I don't push it or push you to do it. In other words, I don't say, no, Mark, I want to do it, so we're going to do it. But for me, it's like girls' night out. I'll take my daughter Madeline and her friend Grace and, Sylvia, and we'll go to the Pink concert. Right. But you really have no desire to do that.
No, and I wouldn't be fun. And I think I guess you'd like to have me there. But if you're there with Sylvia and Maddie,
And grace.
and grace, you're going to have a wonderful time. So I think we have balanced that out pretty well together. And I know that weekend there's going to be 3 nights where we're up late. I'm okay with that.
Right.
I'm not going to get good sleep. We both have Aura rings. I'll be tracking the numbers. It'll be terrible. But it's okay because we really love being with these folks, and it's going to be a lot of laughs and a lot of great memories. But I don't like going out at night, and that's new for me and new for us.
Right.
Here's another one that I've noticed, and actually, you've got the same issue, is that we always feel cold. We're always cold.
Well, that's
colder.
new for me, and I know this isn't about
Well, it's new
women,
for me.
but women, especially in their 50s and early 60s, I'm usually always hot. I'm just hot, like I'm just always hot. It's like a women menopause hormone thing, right? So I'm always hot. But recently, and I don't know, a friend of mine said, well, since you lost weight, you're cold all the time. I don't know if it's that, but I know recently I feel like I'm cold all the time.
Well, when I was...
And we have to fight the urge not to have our house old people hot.
Well, I was about to say, when I was 40 years old, I go visit my parents, and they were 65, and I used to go in their house, and it was stuffy, the windows were shut, even in the summer, and the heat was on. And I'd say to my mom and dad, hey guys, this house is old people hot. You're not old. Why is it so warm in here?
Right.
Well, your mother gets cold and this, I don't like to breathe, grumpy old man thing. Well, our house is old people hot.
I don't think it is.
It feels hot.
Does
It's
well, we'll
nice.
see because we have some of the kids coming on Friday. So if they walk in and say it's old people hot, we'll let you know.
I will say that at night we make our bedroom very cold.
Chilly
because we sleep better. But
68.
Yeah, not like it used to be.
Yeah.
My appetite. I eat less and I need to eat earlier.
Do you guys find that you eat less as you age? I think that might be a universal men and women thing.
Well, we're both on that same track. We'll have a breakfast, a shake, or something. If we're really hungry, we might go out to eat on a weekend or something like that, or some toast, avocado toast. Lunch is becoming a bigger meal for us.
Yeah.
And then dinner time, 5:30 or 6, we're not really that hungry. So we kind of force ourselves to eat sometimes.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I mean, I could give up dinner easily, like every day.
Every day.
I could.
Well, I
don't know that that's
fast
healthy.
twice a week. So Mondays and Thursdays I don't eat till noon. I have dinner the night before. But, the whole idea of the early bird special is becoming more interesting to us because we eat earlier, we sleep better. So that's
the kids do
thing.
laugh about that, though. Like we'll say, hey, we have dinner reservations tonight. Well, a lot of times they work until 6.
Right.
So if we have dinner reservations at 6, they're like, what the heck? That
Can't
doesn't
do it.
work.
So when the kids are with us, we eat later.
Right.
But when we're alone, we eat 5:30 or 6 for sure. Technology is a struggle. And I think because it's changing so fast. And I want to remind you, too, to stay to the end because we're going to share with you our 5 strategies that we are using to work through this aging process. But keeping up with technology is definitely harder because it's changing so damn fast. I'm in love with ChatGPT, and I like all of the changes going on around that. But it's so hard to stay up with it. Sometimes I just give up and say, you know what, I'm not going to learn that. And that's where my kids is just part of their natural evolution. We grew up with typewriters and dial phones and then slid into beepers and then Blackberries. Now it's just changing so fast.
What was before the BlackBerry? Pager? No.
Yeah, pager.
Pager?
But even apps, there's apps for everything. Our house here in Connecticut, I must have 12 apps. I could turn lights on, off, heat, whatever. It's cool, but it's hard now. It's kind of like I want it simpler.
Yeah.
And it's hard to go simple with technology when technology isn't simple. So it's taking more effort for us to
I think you do a pretty good job. I mean, you do better, I think, than most, and certainly better than me. If I don't see it's adding value, I don't jump in.
Yeah.
You're big into chat. I'm kind of
I'm
more of a researcher. I want to look at articles. I want to read studies, and you're like, well, let's ask chat.
Well, with Google, I think it's Google.
And I think your chat's a British woman, so I'm a little concerned.
Stop. I think it's Google.lm. It's a new
version.
It's Google's AI platform where you can upload a document. So if you have a 35-page document that you want to read and research, you can upload that, and you click a button, and it turns that document into a 2-person podcast where they're talking about the document. It's fascinating. Google.lm. It only came out 2 weeks ago. It's really, so I love that.
You do, yeah.
I don't like podcasts, so I don't really use it, but I think it's cool that it's there. All right. Another thing I'm noticing as I'm aging that I'm struggling with is my memory. I have to be really, did you make a face?
No.
I missed it.
No, I didn't make a face.
Did you? You wanted to.
I
Here's the
did.
face. My memory's not what it used to be. I think my long-term memory is better than my short-term memory. I mean, many times when you declare to me that yesterday you said this to me and it wasn't very nice, I don't recall saying that. That's a good example. No?
Is that like selective hearing,
Yeah.
selective memory?
So things like my phone, my car keys, my car, my clothes, whatever, I always put stuff in the same place on a more consistent basis so I don't lose stuff.
Right.
But my memory's not what it used to be. And that's hard. I don't know if it's the same way with you, but I don't like it, but I have to deal with it because it's happening.
Right.
Right?
Right. And you have to make a few quick changes to remind yourself of things. You know, we're pretty good with notes in terms of like we're moving from this house in Connecticut, and I think we both have big long notes of like checklists. Oh, don't forget we need to return the cable boxes, for example. And so that has to go on a note. Otherwise, we'll be heading out the door and be like, did you do it? Did I do it? Who did it? So I think we found ways, and there's a lot of ways around the memory game, but there also is things that you don't do to keep your memory and your mind active. Like you won't play any memory games. You won't, do any of the
Wordles.
right?
Yeah, I'm
or
not.
the,
Yeah.
the spelling bees or the, connections or any of the games that kind of keep your mind active.
I mean, science talks about that you need to exercise your brain because it is a
Right.
muscle, and you can actually regenerate new cells in your brain if you exercise it.
Right.
And exercising it is doing those word games and things like that. So, it's happening. As I'm aging, my memory's getting worse, and I have to find ways to work through it. Travel for me is harder now than it used to be, and I really don't like traveling alone anymore. I really
Right.
prefer when you come with me.
Yep, which
And-
can't always happen.
And I think it's not so much that you make it easier. I just like your company.
Aw.
I don't like being alone when I'm traveling. I have to go
Yeah.
to Boston next week for a couple of days, and I'm in a hotel alone a lot. And my alone time is important to me, but that to me is forced on me. It's not something that I chose to do. So traveling with you is a lot easier. You handle a lot of the arrangements. You check us into the hotel. I don't need
Who
to
wouldn't
do
want to
that.
travel with me?
Yeah, well, exactly.
I mean, come on.
But you do make it easier for me.
Right.
And
No, I do.
having a partner in that regard is really helpful. I know there's a fair number of people on our channel who are alone in retirement, and I feel for you. I have a taste of what it's like, but not at all what you're probably
consistent
going through.
basis.
So that's something that's different for me. I used to travel to, Norway every year to see a client for 4 days every year. And I loved it. I loved the challenge of the airports, and if it was late or whatever, it didn't matter. Now it's a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
All right, now I have a new friend as I'm aging. A new friend.
I'm not sure if it's new, but okay.
Naps. Naps are my new friend.
You do like a nap.
If I could nap every day for 15 or 20 minutes, be a win.
Yep.
Be a win. Even when we're driving in a car for 3 hours, if I drive for an hour and a half, if I can nap for 10 minutes, I can go the other hour and a half. Thing is, you don't give the wheel back to me
No.
because you're too nervous the way I drive. But
Yes.
I like napping. And, there's a lot of famous people that have, lived a very long time by having naps. So that's newer for me now. And I used to nap on a Saturday once in a while, but 3-4 days a week now, I'll grab a 15-minute nap or even an hour nap.
What's interesting is you can get refreshed after a 15-minute nap, and not everyone can. I mean, I can't. I'm not a napper. So when you hit a nap, I'll go walk the dog or run to the grocery store or, give the dog a bath, or I always find an activity to do because I feel like if I'm going to nap, it needs to be longer than 15 or 20 minutes. I just can't. I can't hang in that. I wake up and I'm all kind of, crabby
Yeah.
even. Worse.
Yeah.
Worse crabby than I usually am.
All right. A few more things to go through. And don't forget, stay to the end because we're going to share with you our strategies on how I'm dealing with this and how we're dealing with it as a couple. But number 18, the other issue I'm dealing with is alcohol.
Right.
I can't drink like I used to. As a matter of fact, I really don't drink at all. I will have a glass of wine once in a while, or I might even sneak a vodka tonic. But if I do have that, I'm over. I mean, I can't drive. I won't sleep well. My attitude changes. So I don't drink. It doesn't do anything positive for me. And there's no way I'm going to drink and drive. And back in the day, I did. Not that it was good,
Right.
but I did. So I don't know what your thoughts are, because you still drink.
I do. I mean, I
You
don't
don't-
drink a lot,
No.
and I certainly don't drink alone. But if we go out and somebody orders a bottle of wine, I'll have a glass of wine. But if you decide you're going to have a glass of wine, I prioritize that, and then I won't, so that I can drive.
Right.
So I'm more nimble to it. But if you've had a really successful day or something big has happened, and you're like, I really would like a glass of wine just to wind down, then I compensate for, okay, good. I'm good with a ginger ale in a wine glass, or a club soda with lime, or something like that. So
The problem is the alcohol doesn't wind me down.
I know.
It's ridiculous. It used to. I used to think
used to
that's
think that it
why
did, yeah.
I would have a drink at night with you. I mean, we first got married, we would have a bottle of white wine, split it while we were cooking dinner, a bottle of red at dinner, and sometimes open another bottle to have another glass. There's no way I could do that
No.
now. It's just no way. So it's a change. I don't keep drinking because I used to drink. I'm getting older. Alcohol doesn't serve me well, so I'm not drinking much.
Right.
You mentioned this before, but I am shrinking.
I think you're sure.
When I met Jody, I was a size large.
You also wear your pants up to here.
And I used to wear my pants up to my chest with a tight belt. My clothes got looser, so I started buying mediums up top, and my waist is getting smaller. So I'm 160 pounds, and I'm trying to stay there. I weigh myself every day, not for fear of gaining weight, but for fear of losing weight. Because
Right.
I think 160 is good for me. My doctor thinks it's good, but I'm shrinking. As I'm getting older, my body is just shrinking. Muscle mass, your spine compresses, like you said. I think your legs compress. So, I used to be 6'2", now I'm 5'9".
You were never 6'2".
No. But it's a thing to deal with it as a man, the whole ego thing again.
Right.
My children are now as tall, if not taller than me, because I'm shrinking.
Right.
But I'm not going to be the guy. I am not going to be the guy
Who
that
hunches?
continues to wear
Oh.
the oversized blazer that I had 12 years ago, and now it's 2 sizes too big. My clothes are shrinking with me. I'm forcing myself to donate that stuff and buy trimmer, tighter clothes because I think I look better and I feel better.
Right.
When I put on the loose, baggy clothes, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But some men don't do that, and I think that's a good boost for you. If you're feeling like you're shrinking and your clothes are getting too big, donate them to someone who would really appreciate that and buy some different size clothes.
Yeah, what you've been doing.
Let's talk about money for a minute. As I'm getting older, I'm 67. I don't know how much longer we're going to live. I know that our lifestyle's changing, we're slowing down, we're continuing to downsize and declutter. But the issue of, do we have enough money to live the life we're living now,
For the next 30 years.
or 10 years or 5? I don't know, but it's a balance between really enjoying life now and having enough money that we don't outlive our money.
Right.
And that's just a mindset thing. We have an accountant, we have a good financial planner. They both say don't worry about it, but it's something new that creeped up. And we'd like to, when we go, is to leave some money for the kids. It's always a nice thing. And now we're talking about giving them some money now. I hope they're not watching this. But,
Well, I think it's just a mindset shift, right? Because, our whole life we were accumulating assets and accumulating wealth. And then you hit a point where you're deaccumulating.
Right.
Right? So when you're dipping in and deaccumulating, it's kind of it's a big switch. It's almost like a change of tides
Yeah,
all of a
yeah.
sudden. And it does bring up worry, but with the right consultations with accountants and financial planners and, making sure we're doing what we can to minimize wasteful spending. For example, I have a Netflix account, you have a Netflix account. I have a Hulu account, you have a Hulu account. I mean, it's
That's
so
just stupid.
it's so silly. I have Amazon Prime, you have Amazon Prime. So, I mean, I could go on those little, and you might say to yourself, yeah, but Jody, that's like $11 a month. Well, it is, but it's $11 a month over the past 15 years.
And with
that, it doesn't make sense.
5 different apps like that, it just
Right.
doesn't make any sense.
So
It's
I
just-
mean, we just have to continue to get better, to listen to our financial planners and accountants, downsize, understand this concept of deaccumulation of wealth, and just, kind of stay on our path.
we just started this process of the whole thing with the apps. The first big thing we did 3 days ago is we cut the cable. So we don't have cable TV anymore. We're going
I'm
with...
super not used to that.
I'm not either, but we're going with YouTube TV. Found out 4 of our kids did that months ago. So that's saving us $200 or $300 a month.
377.
$377.
I do the
And
math. I do
and we
the
have
math.
we have 2 homes. So do the math on that. So this is new for us, but it's just again part of this cleanup and this thing about money. That's not going to make a huge difference in our lifestyle. But it just makes sense to really do that. So the whole money thing is now becoming not an obsession, but something that we talk about.
Right.
Okay. Society as a whole has a problem with ageism, the lack of respect for people as they get older. It wasn't like that, and it isn't like that in many cultures. Like I think the Japanese culture, the American Indian culture. As you got older, the respect for that person went up. It's not really like that here in America. People force you out of business at 65. They don't really want to hire an older person. They want to hire younger people. So ageism is a problem in society. And as I'm aging, I'm feeling that a little bit more, being treated differently than a 35-year-old. I don't know if you noticed that.
I haven't noticed it yet for me, but I am more aware of it because of the work we do and the research that we are involved in, and some of the other groups that we're involved in with, Modern Elder Academy, or, trying to push this lifelong learning and staying relevant, and multi-generational relationships, and all the things that we're trying to do to combat ageism. Some of my greatest joys for me are coaching women that are 35 years old, because I remember being 35 years old in the business world. So I'm trying to keep those connections to kind of disband that feeling of being irrelevant and, the ageism that comes at you in society.
Yeah. So it's a thing, and we have to be aware of it. Again, right. I'm getting older. From the outside looking in, I think I look good for my age, but I do look a lot older than when I was 30.
Sure.
And I act like I'm older, so I drive slower. Yeah. One of the big things as well that I'm facing as a man, because I've always felt myself as a leader, someone that people come to for help, and someone that has a lot of respect, is this feeling of becoming irrelevant. Irrelevant to you, irrelevant to my kids, irrelevant to society. And that's a fear that I have as a man.
What does that look like? How do you feel?
So I was brought up as the provider. Like I should always do the driving. I should work. I should be the money earner. It's a very old school thing that my parents taught me. My mom didn't work. She volunteered, but she was a stay-at-home mom. You were not a stay-at-home mom. You had an amazing career, and your 3 daughters have amazing careers, and our stepdaughters, no, daughter-in-laws all have great careers. So it's changed. But I always want to feel like I'm bringing value to people. I'm balancing that by this YouTube channel. I feel very relevant now on the topic of retirement transformation. I have my book that I wrote, The Evolving Man. So I'm trying to evolve into something. I don't know what I'll end up as, but staying relevant takes effort.
It does. It does.
And if I don't work at it, then all of a sudden I don't matter.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, no, you did. I mean, I do think that in retirement, one of the first struggles is this idea of becoming irrelevant, especially if you had a career that labeled you. You're a doctor, you're an attorney, you're an accountant, you're a CEO. If you had that label and you led with that in life, which you did, I am
Yeah.
the CEO, so when you lead with that, immediately there's this question upon relevance. Where do I fit? What do I do? Who do I coach? How do I mentor? And a lot of the big mistakes that we find people make is they try to take those skill sets and then they try to manage their family or their relationships in the same way they did their offices.
Yeah.
And so there's a balance between forcing yourself to be relevant and growing and learning into relevance, I think.
Yeah.
And I think what we advocate is that you grow and learn as opposed to force relevance.
Right. So it takes effort for sure. The other thing that takes effort as aging is making new friends. They during my career, I met new people every day. I was in sales and I was networking and I was handing out my card, meeting new people. And you could go through this filtering process of doing business with people that you wanted to do business with. When you retire and you step back, we're each other's best friends, right?
You're my best friend, right?
Are you my best friend? But outside of that...
I didn't answer. Yes.
No, you didn't.
Sorry.
Outside of that, golf, I meet people. In the community, we meet people. Or we always become friends with the shopkeepers wherever we live.
Volunteering.
But it takes effort. Like, I've got to go out and introduce myself and not be bashful about that. Otherwise, you don't make new friends.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
No,
I have
you have to put yourself in places to meet people. And you also have to give people a chance.
You do, and you have to be patient.
I mean, you can't just, dismiss people.
No, I think, I have a live men's group here in Essex, and I've done it for the last 3 summers, and I think there's about 18 men in there now, and it's just grown organically, and we get together every 2 weeks for coffee and talk about a wide variety of things. These guys are really good friends, and I will try the best I can to keep those relationships active once I leave, but that took effort.
Yeah.
To open up and say, you want to come to my house for coffee. So,
right.
I think...
2 more left.
Yeah, I think we both struggle with decluttering, and we need to fight that. Because when my parents both went into the assisted living facility, they had not sold their house yet. And they said, you guys, can you please do us a favor? And can you, get the house ready to sell and get rid of everything? I mean, this was a 4,000 square foot house, a 4-bedroom house full of furniture and books and photos and picture frames. So and that was 20 years ago, right?
No.
22, 18?
That your parents?
When we went through the whole decluttering thing.
With your parents?
Yeah.
No, it was 2015.
All right, so...
8 or 9 years ago?
That was
Almost
it?
10 years ago?
Oh,
yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
That was the hardest thing ever
terrible.
for us to do, to have this decision fatigue, to pick up every knife and fork and things I remember growing up as a kid and saying, I don't need that anymore. Or they don't, how do we even get rid of that?
Yeah.
Fast forward to today, we are deep, deep, deep into a huge decluttering phase because we're selling this house, moving to a smaller one, and stuff can't come with us. So we are really...
I think one of the biggest challenges, however, is because we were the landing spot for a lot of your parents' stuff that no one wanted to make decisions on, and we just said, well, we have space, we'll take it, which don't ever do that, in my opinion. So now we're decluttering and struggling with decluttering of other people's stuff.
Right.
The majority of the stuff that we have to declutter is either the kids or your parents. Yeah. Not much of it's ours.
That's true. That's
so
true.
why are we having all of these challenges with these? Listen, whether it's a box of report cards from the 1st grade through the 12th grade for each kid, or which they don't want, by the way. I'm not even sure why we still have them. Or it's 15 moving boxes of blurry pictures that your mom took.
I know.
We're the ones that are stuck decluttering other people's stuff. And one of the commitments we have made is that our children will not do that.
No.
We will not have them declutter our stuff, right?
No, we're doing it now,
Right.
and it takes a toll on us mentally and physically.
And this is the 3rd iteration of us
Well,
doing
but
it.
I think now that as I get older, it gets harder and harder and harder. So I don't want to wait until I'm 67. I don't want to be talking about decluttering anymore
At 75.
at 75.
Right. I agree.
It has to be over.
Yeah.
I mean, and we buy less stuff now. We just don't buy more stuff, which is
Yeah.
good. All right. The last thing that, and then stay, because we want to talk a little bit about how we're dealing with this as a couple and how I'm dealing with it as a man. But I worry about becoming bored and becoming lonely. And I'm not bored and I'm not lonely. But the largest group of people in the United States that perform completed suicides, the largest group of people in the United States that do completed suicides are men over the age of 65. It's a staggering fact, and I am not going to be one of those guys, and I worry about a lot of other men who I can tell are a little bored with their life. They're a little bit lonely. They don't have any friends, and those are the people I reach out to, and that's helped me help them and given me a little feeling of resilience and what's the word I was using before that? And relevance. So we all can do that. All of us men, particularly, can really help each other to make sure we don't become bored and lonely. And I'm not, but it easily could happen.
Yeah, definitely could.
And I think the men's group is helpful in all of that.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about what we're doing, what we're doing as a couple to cope with these 25 issues that are coming about because I'm aging. First and foremost, like you said at the beginning of the video, our number one thing in retirement is working on ourselves, on our health. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, I would say our physical and mental wellness has become kind of our full-time job.
Yeah.
Because we have a huge desire to be there for our friends and our family and our grandkids and the generations to come. So, what we do today is going to impact, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road. So we are very active at the gym, and that helps with a number of your list of 25.
It does.
Your
shrinking, loss of muscle,
right.
My grumpy old man,
your mobility,
my
your
relationships,
stabilities.
My community. I'm heading back to Florida. We're heading back to Florida in a couple of weeks. And while I'm sad about losing the community I have up here in Connecticut at the gym, the one in Florida is amazing because we started going to this gym last October. And I've got some really good friends there of all ages that get to the gym at 4:45, 5 days a week, and I can't wait to be with them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited to show off my new muscles I grew over the summer.
There you go.
Did I grow muscles?
Yeah, of
Yeah, look
course.
at that. If I didn't,
Yeah.
I should take my shirt off and show everyone my
I would
muscles.
keep it on.
Well, being active at the gym is key to us.
Right.
That's our number one thing.
Yep.
I think the other thing that's been really helpful for Jody and I is we've worked very hard on our communication with each other and with our family about what is important to us and what our values are. And we've talked to each other about if I'm ever getting out of line, like if I'm not eating, if I stop going to the gym or I start drinking too much or I start smoking cigars again or things like that, like if I stop good habits or start bad habits, we have given each other the green light to talk about it with each
Right.
other in a nice, kind, and caring way. It's not like you're drinking too much. It's like, hey, I've noticed you've been having wine a couple nights this week. Is everything okay?
Right.
And so it's a caring way to communicate. And I think it goes both ways.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And I think that's, besides our, kind of focus on health and wellness, our communication has changed over the years because, when you're retired, we're spending, a lot more time together, and that becomes a critical rub in relationships until you open the lines of communication and allow for, a lot of space for different emotions at different times. You're feeling these 25 aging symptoms, I'll call them, and I'm feeling, maybe half of them at this point, being 7 years younger than you. 8 years younger than you? 8 years younger.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
like
just
a baby.
It's just a matter of trying to make sure that we're staying on top of our communication and giving the other person some space.
And the other side of that is giving each other accolades when we're doing something really well. You're in the last 12 months, you've built, I don't know how many pounds of muscle, but you've also shed 30 pounds of weight that you didn't want, that you didn't need. It
Right.
wasn't serving you well at all. And it wasn't that you went on a diet. We just have worked really hard at becoming healthy,
Right.
which starts with getting up early, going to the gym, and walking and doing what we need to do.
Right.
The third thing that we do, and I'm doing a lot of now, is really adapting to the fact that I am aging and coming to grips with it. I listed 25 things. There's probably 50 things that are going on in my body that are happening because I'm getting older. My body is wearing down. So we've worked really hard at finding new ways to live a happy, fulfilling life without becoming sad, depressed, and lonely, and feeling sorry for ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the next thing that we've done is, we've really focused on, health, wellness, and checkups, making sure we're checking in with our medical professionals, to maybe help be proactive in some areas and maybe even kind of slap us a little bit to be reactive in areas that we, needed some push on. And I think health checkups needs to really make this list.
Yeah, there are friends of mine who are my age or younger or older who don't go to the doctor. They just don't go. And they don't go because they don't want to hear the bad news. They don't want to look for trouble. Well, that's why you go to the doctor. I mean, I just recently got diagnosed with sleep apnea. And, last night was a nightmare for you, you said. Night before was fine. So when we get to Florida, I have an appointment with a doctor to get that checked out because that sleep apnea, it deprives your brain of oxygen while you're sleeping, and that speeds up death. I'll just say it that way.
Well,
I mean,
even Alzheimer's and
dementia, but it's not healthy for you not to get good sleep,
Right.
but also not to get oxygen when you are sleeping. So that's an issue I need to deal with,
Right.
because it's affecting our sleep as a couple. And easy solution is for me to go to a different room and sleep at night, but that doesn't fix my problem.
Right.
It fixes our problem of me keeping you up at night. So the fifth thing that we are doing, and this is like a new thing for us, we're really digging deep on simplifying our lives. Simplifying our lives with technology, with finances, with where we live, with who we hang out with, where we go to dinner, what time we go to bed. We have to make it simple,
Right.
because the life that we've been leading up until now is just a little complicated.
Yeah,
Even our
definitely.
YouTube channel, we're trying to make it a little simpler for us to continue to doing what we're doing and make it fun, right? Simplify life and make it fun.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Do you want to add to that at all?
No, I think you said it all.
Well, we hope you liked this video. If you did, this next one, embrace aging fearlessly. Discover the beauty of growing older. In this video, we're going to talk to you more about learning to embrace your golden years as you age.